So for this video I'll be looking back on my hopes, fears and expectations that I had going into the internship, and pretty much just seeing how, if what I expected to be problems or things that I could get involved in, whether or not they actually came true. So looking at my hopes, I hoped to become a part of the furniture, as I said in the previous video. That would involve being as busy as I possibly could and getting involved in all the activities that are going on in the school, and getting involved in different projects and whatnot, and basically just being as active as I possibly could. I hoped to get involved in the likes of the choir and the sports teams and things like that, stuff that I would have been active in when I was in the school, and I felt some of that worked better than other aspects of it. The working in the choir was good. It was grand. They had a concert at the end of the year, like the end of the actual calendar year, for around Christmas time, like a big Christmas show, and the parents and all were there, and I helped set up for that. And from week to week I was helping the choir with setting up or whatever. There's only so much I can do there, because believe it or not, my voice may be a bit too different to that of primary school children, which is nothing I can do about, but I was there to help anyway. And then the sports teams as well were another thing I wanted to get involved in, but because it being the time of year that it was in the winter, there wasn't much going on in terms of sport and activities. So the school teams tended to play spring, summertime, so I got around that then by basically taking PE classes in the class that I was in, so I was still getting involved in that way without it being an actual sporting team. But I found taking the PE classes to be really rewarding. It was the most hands-on I could possibly have been, because it was all inclusive of all the students in the class. My fears then going in were pretty much not being able to display my competencies. I was afraid that I would have been left idle over the whole 2 months, and there had been some that I wasn't able to display as well as others. That was true to an extent, but the ones that I felt I couldn't display as well, I still displayed quite well at the same time. It was like, for example, I found leadership and communication to be easier to show, because basically leadership is showing initiative, which I knew I had to do anyway, and communication, I personally feel like I have good interpersonal skills, so I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. The likes of problem solving and applied knowledge, I were more to do with situations that might have came up, so they were a bit more infrequent in terms of my use of them. I still got to use them every single week, it's just whereas leadership and communication was a daily thing, applied knowledge and problem solving were things that came up when I was actively doing something, so I had to actually have a project going to come across them. Obviously there were some examples of problem solving that like came to me rather than me coming to them, in terms of if kids were doing projects and they didn't know how to work PowerPoint, I was able to show them how to use that, or Word, because of the many projects and stuff and assignments and things that I would have done in college, so I was able to help them out in that way. And then for the applied knowledge, I was able to pretty much look at the classroom when the teacher was teaching, and to be able to relate it back to theories that I would have covered over the 4 years and their different educational theories. And then it was interesting then to see how the teachers were then putting them into practice and utilising them in the best way to get the best out of the children in terms in an educational sense. I also feared that the staff wouldn't be accommodating, but that couldn't have been further from what actually happened. They were absolutely brilliant. I was so appreciative of them. They gave me more time than I could have asked for with the children. They were very accommodating to me in terms of what I wanted to do, which led me to be able to do the newsletter and the yearbook in class time pretty much, and getting taking up the students' own time to get the stuff done for me, which I was very, very grateful of. And then in terms of my expectations, I knew that I'd have to explain the course to the teachers, because it is relatively new and the teachers may not have come across it before, and I was right in that. I did have to, for the first few days anyway, I had to explain to the teachers that my degree wasn't a teaching degree, and that I was using it as a stepping stone to get into primary school teaching eventually through getting a master's. But those conversations helped me kind of break the ice with the teachers, and it was a bit easier then to get to know them, and then the more they got to know me, the more accommodating they were, which was fantastic. In terms of after that, then I knew I had to adapt to the working world, and it was fine. I loved it. Like 3 weeks in, I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. I have a new appreciation for the work that teachers do that people don't actually realise. Like whenever there's a class, the amount of planning that goes into the class is very undercovered, I would say. Like you think that the teacher's just reading from a book, but there's evenings of practice, there's evenings of planning, I should say, that go into it that are done in after school time. Like people say the teachers finish at 10 to 3 in the afternoon, but their work doesn't end there. Like they have after hour work as well when they get home, correcting and whatnot. So I have a newfound appreciation for that, and it also gave me a better idea of what it would be like in that kind of environment. And then the final expectation I really had was keeping up with the journals, which I did pretty much. Like I knew I had to, so there wasn't really a problem there in terms of motivating me to do that. So they are pretty much how it went. And looking back at my host fears and expectation, I wasn't that far off, but there was some stuff that was surprisingly more difficult to do, and then there's other stuff that was surprisingly just kind of fell into my hands. So I was happy enough with how everything went anyway. So that's it.